The orange cloud is back. The orange cloud is back. We have orange cloud and orange light. This is not normal. This is west. This is west I'm facing. Not a little west. And kind of sort of east sun rising west. But hardcore where the sun sets west and it's 7 o'clock in the freaking morning. Okay? This is the same orange cloud we had the other day. We have a few of them and we're right by the towers. This is right near where that X was the other morning. Look at this. That's dead north, and that looks like the purple of the sunset. And you can see the water rising off the lake. And this is not a quiet lake. This is not a calm morning. I'm sorry, people, but this is what happens when you guys go home after your vacations. This is what this country is doing to us. Look at that purple sky. That is so not normal. That is dead north. Look at these orange clouds. Look at this. There are you could hear, if you could hear the sound of the towers. I'm sorry, people, but this is not normal.
shot here, March 26th, 2013. One could also argue that the Russian satellite feed had a problem with it, or it was something in the imagery. Taking that into consideration, we will eliminate that right here by using the Terra satellite, March 26, 2013, with a modest instrument attached to it, and as you can see, the same signature of this TTA HAARP weather modification spiraling right down to this island. Red-handed, caught red-handed, that's what I believe. And you're looking at a perfect shot of showing you how this spirals down to where, take notice here, this is the Prince Edward Islands. This is Prince Edward Island, Marion Island. Together, the Prince Edward Islands. Funnels right down to this key spot. This is where the plumes were coming out. This is where the spirals are coming down, right to this island, not over a body of water. With that said, we go to Wikipedia Commons and we look up the Prince Edward Islands, and we have Prince Edward Island here that you see. And lo and behold, what do we have here? Bingo. That's it, folks. There's your base. This is where they're posted up. And they are controlling the weather from right here. And you can see it right here. Lo and behold, right there is a base, a station, a weather station.
Just want to show you, does this look normal to you? Basically, these are frequency weapons, so to speak, or weather modification technology off the west coast of Africa on these islands. One island is Funchal, the other one is Santa Cruz, Tenerife. And you can see, so you can see this tiny little island, and you see all these spindles coming out of it. This is not normal, so this is not natural, and it's all going in this direction where currently Hurricane Jose and Hurricane Irma are about to hit the east coast, Florida. And over here we have more islands off the west coast of Africa over here. These are Santa Cruz Islands, and you can totally see the same kind of frequencies coming out of these islands. They're very small islands, and you can see these frequencies coming out of them because they have this technology there, and it's this technology, going to zoom out a little bit, is creating these spindles, so to speak, right? You can totally see all of these and all of these. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So where is it all going? So it's all creating pressure. It's going down here. This is the direction where it's going. And guess what we have here? We have Hurricane Jose.
The Air Force has gotten great value out of HAARP in the past. We took over from the Navy and managed it, and actually did a number of experiment campaigns up there, and have finished our work that we're interested in doing up there. We've moving on to other ways of managing the ionosphere, which the HAARP was really designed to do, was to inject energy into the ionosphere, be able to actually control it. Inject energy into the ionosphere, be able to actually control it. Inject energy into the ionosphere, be able to actually control it.
This resolution is a total rewrite of the War Powers Clause of the United States Constitution. Let's be clear about that. It is essentially a declaration of international martial law, a sweeping transfer of military power to the president that will allow him or her to send U.S. troops almost anywhere in the world for almost any reason with absolutely no limitations.
Hello, I make this video not a happy man. I'm at the neighborhood Walmart in San Jose, California. And this is what it has become. I did not want to believe it, but it's happening. Does this look like your friendly neighborhood Walmart to you? No. Anyone who knows anything about jail or anything about that knows what this is. That is a holding area. Oh, I'm not allowed to go past this line, actually, because the security guard told me if I do, it links up to the San Jose Police Department, and they will come here and arrest me. That's kind of weird for a Walmart that's not in use anymore. So let's go take a look at what they did to this neighborhood Walmart. And the way it's set up, too, is perfect. Look at, they got a security. Why would you have a security camera right here? Why is this needed? What? This obviously looks like some sort of an entrance that they're gonna have you coming in and out of.
The document outlines military procedures for internment and resettlement of civilians, and it describes the layout and the administration of these internment camps. It clearly states on page 38 that it applies within U.S. territory, and it specifically addresses the detainment of U.S. citizens, as is indicated by the identification procedures for new prisoners on page 146, which states that social security numbers are to be recorded alongside their photograph and fingerprints. Included in the list of organizations which may be involved in these internment operations are the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, the Department of Defense, and the United Nations. On page 56, the document outlines the responsibilities of psychological operations officers within the camps, among which it states that a PSYOP officer develops and executes indoctrination programs to reduce or remove antagonistic attitudes and identifies political activists. On page 281, the document goes into more detail regarding the role of psychological operations within the camps, specifically in regards to pacifying the population and ensuring cooperation. On page 238, it gives the conditions for the use of deadly force in such camps. Among the justifications for lethal force, it includes to terminate an active escape attempt. That point right there should make it clear that these camps are not benevolent disaster relief type facilities. On page 244, the document calls for the use of snipers during riots to, quote, scan a crowd and identify agitators and riot leaders for apprehension and fire lethal rounds if warranted. On page 260, it shows the basic layout for a facility focusing on detainment. It is depicted with interrogation areas, tribunal areas, and mortuaries. Each detainment facility is designed to hold 4,000 prisoners, and they are depicted with multiple levels of barbed wire separating compartments within the facilities, with a double barbed wire fence enclosing them, and watched over by 24 guard towers. On page 261, the document depicts the layout for what they call civilian resettlement facilities, which are designed to house 8,000 people. Though it uses the word resettlement, the plans show multiple levels of barbed wire dividing the sections of the facility, with double barbed wire fencing on the outside, as well as 16 guard towers. On page 262, the layout for facilities designed for what they call non-compliant prisoners is shown. These camps are designed to hold up to 300 prisoners, they have 3 interrogation centers, and are guarded by 13 guard towers. Now, if there's any question whether these plans are active or just theoretical, this should be settled by the fact that the U.S. Army has been running ads for job positions in these camps since 2009, and apparently, they're still hiring.
Why are you outside during this entire hurricane?
Well, I chose not to go inside yesterday because the Salvation Army and Russian Wind's homeless shelter, where they were accepting people, were caught killing everybody that was in there.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Okay. All right. So clearly you're homeless, and there are some challenges that you face.
How are they going to determine who goes? And how they're going to determine it is through an algorithm they use. And this is what I've been told by insiders, and I've gotten this story multiple times from multiple sources. AI listens to everything we do. Artificial intelligence. They listen to this broadcast. They know that you're logged on. They know how long you're logged on. They know every keystroke you press on a computer. They know every word that you say. You're identified by your voice print. You can be near a cell phone that is turned off, and if your voice is in earshot, it's being picked up and recorded by the NSA and filed under voice print. Keyword searches are applied, and you receive a score on 16 different dimensions, very similar to what psychologists call the MMPI, which is a 16-dimensional test of how high functioning someone is, and you get a separate score for each dimension. Well, you'll do the same thing here with this NSA protocols. And they're developing a naughty and nice list, and then you get an aggregate score. And what I've been told is no one really knows where they're going to draw the line. who is going to be, oh, we could leave them alone. They'll be good servants in the new society. Watch for concern. And then they could have another one that would be, we need to get them off the streets for the good of everybody. And then another one might be, instant termination. Now, what am I basing this on? Well, Steve Coyle has talked to a number of people. In fact, the military person who gave him this information was killed after giving it to him. Red list, blue list stuff. Do you remember that from Steve? He doesn't talk about that a whole lot anymore. But if you ask him, he'll tell you the story I just did. And what we're looking at here is the NSA has cataloged everybody. They know who you are. They know your potential for rebellion. They've run their algorithms. And when the time comes and they face scan you, and the FBI has been gathering face scanning information for years. They've been doing it at traffic cams and all sorts of other places. I mean, what is it? You're videotaped or photographed, 1,300 to 2,000 times per day in America? Almost double that in Britain. They're going to get the naysayers off the street. They want you out of harm's way, their harm. The criteria is going to be what they've already told you. This is not rocket science, and I don't have to go to an unnamed source on the inside to tell you this. This has already been published in the MEAC report, and it's become the operating credo of the Department of Homeland Security. If you were at one time, they listed people as a Ron Paul supporter. Now they'll be a Donald Trump supporter, a Christian, a pro-Second Amendment advocate, a pro-constitutionalist, someone who is concerned about the New World Order, someone who is a Christian. You get the idea? Traditional Americans are now terrorists.
Yeah, and Jade Helm, from what we understand about it, is just an exercise put on from the military, like that's directly correlated with what they're doing in the Middle East.
From the mouths of the FBI, Jade Helm is a training exercise directly connected with what they are doing in the Middle East.
Yeah, and Jade Helm, from what we understand about it, is just an exercise put on from the military, like that's directly correlated with what they're doing in the Middle East.
The real problem that they have, as Kissinger says, is there are just too many people on the planet. And 40% of the world, 2 billion of us, exist on less than $2 a day. The summary of the Global 2000 report I put up on my website, nohoax.com. Right. But if you look at it, it makes sense to get rid of people. So what they said, they're going to make godlike decisions on who lives and who dies. Now, obviously, some of the meetings we sat on, we were planning on using neutron bombs on the major cities, because that contains most of what they call...
You actually heard this?
I sat in on the meetings. I was in the game big time. In fact, I was making such a mess, they decided rather than kill me, which they could, they just invited me into the inner group and asked me to be the finance chairman. And at that point, I probably would have been in, Secretary of the Treasury or something, whatever they wanted to do with me. What I was doing prior to that, so, making it right, I would volunteer to become a president of a company, and I'd go in and liquidate it. And we get rid of the expendable containers. That was my job.
Expendable containers meaning human beings?
That's right.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's
well, that was
the inside vernacular, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, well, that's what we used at that time. I mean, it went from there to useless eaters today, so you're happy with it, you're a human resource. So, which, all you are is part of the commodity, even in the business sense. You look at it, you have a cost. Labor, what is labor? Yeah. Human resource. Right. When you're going to put together some kind of product. Well, the inside of the game, when we started to use neutron bombs, today they figure that biologicals are much cheaper. Mm-hmm. They're still planning on, the plan is to get a war started in the Middle East. And they're still planning on using a neutron bomb, or one of the bombs that they've got developed on Israel. Mm-hmm. And that's to begin World War III, which is all in the cards. And it's going to happen. They even put a monument up to this whole program. It's called the Georgia Guidestones. Outside of Atlanta, and they've got it all set down there. It's all in 8 languages. Basically, it's fait accompli as far as they're concerned. It's just to get the thing going in the Middle East, and it's not going fast enough. I mean, Carter put this thing in, so we have the Plan 2000 with the war starting in the year 2000 in the Middle East.
Right.
reduce the population of the planet down to 500 million, have one world currency under the Homeland Security, or the FEMA, if you want to call it. They're going to declare an emergency, which are going to shut down everything. You know, my friends, my CIA associates, I don't even call them friends anymore. CIA is crooks in action.
Yeah.
They're all professional liars.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to be if they have that job.
Yeah.
So you have to look at what they're doing. Anyway, they're so concerned they're leaving the country too. Most of them are going to Latin America. Meanwhile, they're closing in every day right now, just closing in to make it so we're going to be set up in these enemy prisoner war camps. I published a book. It's called Chaos in America. In it, I was asked to build an enemy prisoner war camp. I put the contract in this book. So you can read it for yourself. This is in downtown Las Vegas, right on the railroad tracks. It says enemy prisoner war camp. They're all on top. And they're building them all the way across the United States right now. Bush signed an executive order taking the old forts and the army places that we shut down to get those organized to hold the so-called dissidents. Now, what's the definition of a dissident? And the problem is that we're going to enslave ourselves, because most of the people want to keep having food coming in, and you're going to follow the line. You're just walking yourself into your own prison camp.